The clerk's quill shakes, then the ledger explodes. Pages whip through smoke as if the numbers are trying to escape. Ink-stained clerks stamp and shout in choking smoke. They stumble over shaved coin chests and scattered seals. Outside, prices spike like flames up dry rafters. Then the numbers land, heavy and undeniable. $346 trillion global debt, stacked like stone blocks. $970 billion US net interest, one fiscal year. No rumor, no metaphor, just arithmetic. Hard cut to a frozen market screen mid-tick. Blue glare on your face. Server rooms humming behind cathedral doors. Your wages sit inside the calculation. Already claimed. Interest eats first. Maintenance waits. Everything else bargains. This isn't a crisis. It's a pattern repeating. Build to appear eternal. Borrow to feel invincible. Defer upkeep. Then watch roads turn into chains. Citizens pay the toll long after builders are gone. I'll show collapse being built, and bills surviving builders. The bridge is awake before the city is. It stretches over dark water like a spine pulled taut. Concrete plated over steel tendons. Every bolt holding a promise made decades ago by men whose names are now dust inside filing cabinets. Night rain slicks the lanes. Headlights smear like knives. Tires hiss as wind sings through expansion joints. Commuters don't listen to foundations, they listen to noise. Podcasts, traffic reports, the lie of permanence. Under the deck, rust eats quietly where nobody looks. Freckles become veins, salt rides in on winter tires. Water seeps into hairline cracks. Freeze-thaw hammers patiently. Paint blisters. Metal swells. Bearings warp by millimeters. Those millimeters multiply into fate over years. A heavy truck arrives early, fast and wrong. It hits a seam like a gavel striking bone. A book spine snap, dry, intimate, almost unnoticed. Small enough no one calls it disaster. Yet. The bridge flinches. Load paths shift like whispered confessions. A girder shifts. Stress redistributes in a language only steel understands. The first fracture isn't theatrical, it's clerical. A bolt loosens. A weld tires. A joint admits truth. I am old. Then gravity leans in like a judge. A slab tilts. Guardrails fold like tin. Concrete chips snow down into the river below. White flecks on black water, skin shedding for seconds. Horns blare, brakes scream. A coffee arcs through air. It scatters like an offering nobody meant to give. A section drops. Not the whole span, just enough to become a trap. A vehicle hangs, then falls in ritual silence. Metal twists, glass bursts outward in glittering violence. Fuel finds spark. Fire blooms into orange tongues. Flames lick what remains beneath the broken deck. The city finally looks, too late, but fully. Emergency lights paint blue and red across wet concrete. Modern heraldry for a broken promise. Firefighters move through steam and powdered cement. A medic kneels in grit, pressing life back into someone, as if holding the world together by force. But the collapse is only the surface. The real collapse happens somewhere dry and quiet. Cut to fluorescent offices and coffee breath. Beige corridors lined with ribbon-cutting photographs, oversized scissors. Smiles. Fresh asphalt that never met winter. Back room, stale paper air, cabinets like tombs. A clerk opens a drawer and pulls out a binder thick as a tombstone. Inspections, notes, recommended repairs, and deferred budgets. Deferred, deferred, deferred. A lullaby nations sing to sleep through decay. Phones ring, procurement is shouted, stabilization is begged, emergency funds, temporary fixes, paper bandages on rust. A supervisor signs forms with trembling hands. Authorization like absolution, issued too late. And behind sirens, the invisible monster arrives. The ledger. Not metaphor, obligation, digitized, still ancient in function. Columns, totals, lines that ignore grief, numbers that do not attend funerals. The clerk stares at repair estimates. The room narrows. Because repair isn't repair, it's confession. The past is still charging rent. Build once, pay forever, in cycles without mercy. Inspections, coatings, retrofits, resurfacing, bearings, reinforcements, replacement. A hungry object demanding tribute for generations. Officials call it investment. The ledger calls it hunger. A permanent mouth. Not satisfied by pride or headlines. It eats money quietly, continuously, then eats lives. Now follow this pattern backward through history. Venice is born in damp stone and stubbornness. Salt lives in its air the way smoke lives in a battlefield. Palaces rest on pilings driven into mud like bones. The city floats only by fighting water every day. In the arsenal, hammers ring like prayer. Pitch boils. Timber ribs become war galleys. Venice builds ships and a belief in permanence. But salt is patient and never forgets. It creeps into iron, rots wood, gnaws mortar. Docks need repair. Ships need refit. Seawalls need stone. Maintenance becomes an army that never marches, only works. Wet, cold, endless. So Venice borrows, forced loans disguised as duty. Coin clipped thinner, silver scraped like skin. The state reaches into merchant chests and calls it patriotism. Then the sea collects interest. Storms smash hulls against stone. Cargo vanishes into black water. Trade stutters. Cash dries up. The arsenal goes quiet. Quiet enough to hear dripping. First law: when infrastructure is empire, upkeep is blood. Stop feeding it, and the body rots while walking. Florence smells of incense, wet plaster, and money. Its greatest structures aren't domes, they're promises. Letters of exchange slide like daggers in velvet sleeves. Kings and popes borrow urgently, dramatically, temporarily. A courier arrives in rain, mud on boots. A sealed letter. Few words. Default. No battle. No spectacle. Just refusal. Credit tightens. Workshops slow. Looms stop mid-song. Laborers drift into alleys with empty hands. The monuments remain, still demanding upkeep. Second law: infrastructure outlives the boom that built it. When boom dies, the maintenance bill stays alive. Amsterdam is cold geometry carved into water. Canals cut clean lines. Dikes clench against the sea. Warehouses stack grain and timber like civilization boxed. Here, infrastructure isn't glory, it's survival. Then comes fever, paper promises multiplying faster than ships sail. Tulip contracts trade hands like sparks in taverns. Wealth becomes illusion sustained by agreement. But dikes take years, canals take years, ports take years, debt takes minutes. When fever breaks, it breaks quietly. Buyers vanish, contracts fail, promises turn to smoke. Yet canals need dredging, dikes need stone, harbor needs maintenance. Amsterdam survives, but survival marks the turn. From expansion to endurance. From growth to preservation. From building glory to keeping yesterday from sinking. Pivot. Survival isn't victory. It's ledger control. Now the camera turns toward the world you live inside. Not the world of paintings. Not archives, receipts, rent notices, and thinning dread. Patience thinning, savings thinning, the weight of money thinning. Dawn under a modern bridge. A maintenance worker crawls along a catwalk, breath fogging in the cold. Flashlight shakes, finding rust blooming behind paint. Rebar exposed like ribs through torn flesh. He taps steel with a hammer. The sound is dull. Dull means hollow. Clipboard notes, photos, red circles around failures. He knows the list is long and budget short. Public wants shiny projects, not invisible maintenance. Maintenance stays unseen until it fails violently. So the report gets filed, then carried downstream. Bureaucracy like a river, until something jams. City council chamber. Microphones, water bottles, fluorescent fatigue. A spreadsheet wide as scripture fills the projector. Public sits arms crossed, faces lit by private problems. Director repeats the same sentence in new words. Replace water mains, retrofit bridge, upgrade substation, can't do all. A council member asks, what if we delay? Director blinks, explaining gravity without prophecy. Construction site. Cones, rebar cages, concrete trucks. Ground opened like a wound that hides surprises. Old pipes, undocumented cables, valves snapping on touch. Delays breed delays. Overruns clot, then reopen. Contractors claim labor shortages, price spikes, supply chain delays. Nation rebuilds with parts it can't reliably source. Politics demands speed, reality sells delay. Money develops a new appetite. Interest. Bond auction, where modern empires prey. Screens glow, traders stare. Promises sell in bulk. Future pays for present if buyers keep arriving. Prayer. Keep rates low. Keep buyers showing up. Keep rollover alive. Then the first hammer falls. $346 trillion global debt, an ocean, not a number. Nations swim wearing concrete shoes of past projects and future maintenance. Second hammer, $970 billion US net interest, one fiscal year. Interest is the invisible tax arriving before everything. Before bridges, water, schools, hospitals, transformers. Interest eats first, calmly, like an old god. Cut, server room, blue light, cold air, humming machines, payments, logistics, rail scheduling, water controls, energy markets, inventory systems, synchronization masquerading as stability, a voltage dip, a software failure, a procurement mistake, a missing part stuck across the world. System optimized for speed reveals its true face. Fragile. You've seen shelves empty after shocks. Delivery dates slide. Out of stock becomes default. One outage makes a city hold its breath. Now bring it down into your hands. Rent climbs like fire up a wooden stairwell. Groceries rise, receipts unroll like verdicts. Paychecks feel heavier on paper, lighter in life. Savings dilute quietly, thinned as the system feeds. They call infrastructure investment. Inside the trap, it's obligation. A bridge isn't a bridge, it's decades of upkeep. Water systems aren't pipes, endless replacement cycles. Grid isn't wires, transformers, redundancy, logistics, repairs without end. Trap tightens because nations build what photographs well. They neglect what must be maintained. Ribbons cut on new projects while old systems rot. When rot shows, bridge falls, water browns, lights die. Then speeches don't matter. Ledger already decided payment. This is not prediction. It is consequence, the kind that follows rituals the way smoke follows fire. When the trap tightens, it wears three masks, three faces of the same collector. First, controlled erosion, no single catastrophe. Just a long bleed normalized into routine. Roads patched until patchwork becomes surrender map. Water mains replaced only after bursting into basements. Bridges load limited, relimited, then temporarily closed for years. Decay becomes policy. People adjust. Earlier departures, higher costs, less service. They call it normal. Second, chaotic fracture, hard freeze, financing stalls. Rates spike. Credit shock stops projects mid-surgery. Rebar exposed, concrete forms abandoned like skeletons. Supply chains snap, replacement parts vanish into delays. A storm hits an aging grid and knocks it sideways. Hospitals switch to generators. Pumps fail. Pressure drops. Stores go cash only. Traffic lights die across intersections. City becomes a labyrinth of darkness and clenched fear. Collapse isn't one event. It's a cascade. Third, architectural rewrite, the oldest move. When ledger is unbearable, regime changes the ledger. New rules, new controls, new temporary measures, new currency layers, new terms for old obligations. Holy language, reform, modernization, restructuring. Purpose stays ancient. Move burden onto citizens. You feel it in savings, wages, purchasing power. The trap needs no villains. It needs arithmetic. Return to the first image. The bridge, broken, steaming in the rain. Emergency lights strobe across wet concrete and smoke. A firefighter stands under a slab the size of a house. He looks up, trying to understand heavy things falling. History is full of heavy things that fall. Venice watched ships splinter, while debts hardened like salt. Florence watched frescoes glow above empty workshops. Amsterdam watched fortunes evaporate while sea demanded stone. Now your age builds monuments of concrete and code. Highways sprawl like empires, ports swallow oceans of cargo. Grids stretch thin under rising heat. Server temples hum all night, keeping synchronization alive. Trap isn't building. Trap is building faster than maintenance. Borrowing faster than repayment, calling neglect efficiency. Empires don't die when they stop building. They die when ledger speaks louder than stone. Ledger's language, interest, maintenance, scarcity, time. You feel it already. In receipts, rent, commute, savings. History doesn't guess, it repeats. The wheel turned before. It is turning now. The ledger remembers, and it always collects. The next chapter isn't speculation, it's the receipt.